Hello, sports fans. Mauricio here. Well, it's time to save line items and process an invoice. So, the hope is that I show you how to run the transaction and run your stored procedures with the Shopify system, and that you somehow figure out how to mimic that first in your version of the Shopify system, but then go ahead and do the Cook Hotel. They're similar in that you'll have drop-down lists and you'll have to fill those, and you'll have to set up the page. And I'm pretty optimistic, actually, that you can run your stored procedures. So if I go to the sales, this is what we'll work on for this set of videos. You should be able to process a reservation, run your store procedure, select the customer, what day you want to check in and check out, how many guests, and then pull up that reservation to check in, and then pull up the reservation to add extra services, and then pull up that reservation to check out. So that'll be the assignment, but in this first video, let's just run this thing. So when I click the sales here, this came up as it's a new sale. So this is for sales processing, and let's take a look at that. So we're going to start a new sale, type in product, and then add that line item, and then clear that. And we'll do that as many times as we need to. But when we complete the sale, what it does at the bottom is it turns that checkbox back to visible and checked, meaning, it has a little checkbox in it. So also the invoice date is viewable. All the drop-down lists are viewable and reset back to 0. So so when you complete the sale, that's how that gets checked. But, there is some training that would have to go along with giving this program to an employee of this Shopify site. So we should take a look at what parameters are needed. So if I bring up the save line item version 3, which I'll include in the code for the module, but this should be what you have from MIS 372. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now we're adding a 6th parameter. This one's an output parameter. So by the way, you can control H. And so, for example, you could search for the word print and then replace that with set at feedback equals. So right here in the prior version, it said print. When you're working with SSMS, print allows you to run the store procedure, and then in the commands tab, then you could see messages, and that's very nice to have feedback. Error messages or, confirmation that things worked. So we do want to communicate and remember that we're communicating with a human. So we are adding an output parameter, and so that will, and so I need you to go into I need you to go into each store procedure that you want to, and go into and change the print statements to this set feedback equals, and that's how you get the messages. Well, that's part of how you get the messages back to the web page and display them in TXT output or something like that. But here are the input parameters: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So customer, product, units, new sale, invoice date. So if we go back to the web page, customer, product, units, invoice date, new sales. So they're all there. So input parameters need input controls, and so the input controls are the items in the toolbox, and you drag them onto your form. I like to pin that there when I'm dragging things onto the page here. So I'm in my sales entry view. So I just called it sales. You call it whatever you want. But first you're going to have to table insert table, and I usually just go 7 rows, 2 columns. I'll cancel that, and that's how you get this table looking thing. And I guess this is 2 tables, but they come out of the box looking like that, and then you could just resize them. And just for the record, it's just like a Microsoft Word table. You could insert a row above, row below, column to the left, column to the right, etc. So the first thing to do is backing up, the first thing to do is to go into your parameters and put that feedback output variable in there, and then change all your print statements to set feedback equals. I would say that is step 1. Step 2 is to put a table on there and put your checkbox and a couple of drop-down lists. So we'll have to load those drop-down lists. Nothing happens automatically. And then a couple of text boxes here in this line item. So the line item is going to run the stored procedure. When we clear, we're just going to say, drop down those product ID. The drop-down list for products set the index to -1. We're going to set the text for these text boxes to nothing, so there's nothing there anymore. That's what in the clear. We'll just do that in VB.NET code. But the stored procedures are connected to this add line item, or you could label it save line item. And that's where the store procedures will run. And that store procedure adds the line item to sales details and updates the products that was just sold. So at the end, so you want to make sure you have this code is in the module or whatever module you're on. I think 4 or 8 this semester. But so you should already have this code implemented. But if not, go ahead and put it in. So it's the insert. So we're inserting a line item, putting in all these nice metrics for date and time to make it very super easy to make reports. And then we're going to go to the products table and reduce the number of units in stock, increase the number of units sold, increase the revenue and profit generated for that product. And that happens after every line item is added. So when we add the line item, it does an insert statement, adds a row to the sales details table. And then it also goes and does a update. It updates the product. So it's the classic insert and update. When you complete the sale, we're going to go. So the products table is updated as you go along, as you add line items. The customers table, we need to finish the invoice and get totals before you go update the customers table. Also, when you click this complete, so it's going to update the customers table, and it's going to condense the line items into one record that we'll put into the sales summary table. So, we'll have to take a look at all this. But the result is that we should have a working system. And we're really just wrapping a web interface around our stored procedure. So hopefully the stored procedure made sense before. If not, I'll include all that code. You just have to type it and make sense of it and understand it. So when we turn this thing, so just to finish, this add line item runs the stored procedure. It does the insert sales details, updates the product that was on the line item. The complete sale updates the customers table. So the products is updated. The products table is updated after every line item, just one row. And after the sale is completely done, just one customer is updated. Plus we do the condensing and put a row into the sales summary table. So these two buttons run stored procedures. The bottom two buttons just kind of clear out the form, text box dot text equals nothing, that kind of thing. All right, so how did these products get loaded? And I probably want to do something eventually where, for example, if you click on one category, you see a filtered list. So there's category 3, you see a filtered list. Right now you just see the full list, and it is pretty long because I put a lot of things in here. But how do these drop down lists get loaded? Let's take a look. So as this code will be run from many places in the program, I made a sub procedure that doesn't have a handles. So all the rest of these button click procedures have a handles syntax, which means run this code when that event happens, when button 2 is clicked, run this code. This one doesn't have a handles, this procedure, so it can be run from anywhere in your program. So what I'm doing, kind of sneaky, is when they click on the sales view, I'm running that, I'm calling that procedure. So the word call is optional, but I kind of like it. Just like the word execute is optional, but I like it. So refresh DDL drop-down list and grid views. So this procedure, which I'll explain in a minute, is being run every single time they click on the sales link button to go to that view. So that's one way to do it. Not only are we saying go to that view number, but we're also refreshing all the drop-down lists and grid views on that, whichever ones are here. I think there's 3 or 4 of them. So there's 2 ways to do that. You could put the code on the link button, so when they click this link button 3, this code runs. Another way to do it, and this is, I'm kind of glad we're going over this because it's kind of tricky, but you can do a page init, and so you look on this middle section here, you look for the lightning bolt, and then you go on the right to the init initialization, and then that gives you a procedure. And this procedure runs whenever the page starts up, only the first time the page starts up. So if you're refreshing your page, the code will never run. So I could have put this in here, and it would just run whenever the thing starts up, but I put it so that whenever they click on one of the link buttons, it just runs, not the management reporting, but these other views are, need accurate data in their drop-down lists. So I'll explain that in a minute.